Major podcast blowing up, yeah, it's all that. Got the hottest guests for success, you can say less. Major on the mission, biggest pod on the top chart. Vision and ambitions, I'm so focused, do the hard work. Thank you for subscribing, doing it really for the people. Lamborghini taste, praying daily, make you lethal. You can make it big.
Curtis Bolton, SoCal Game Changers, youth training facility, Marietta, California. A little bit about what we do, mainly revolving around sports and athletic development, from speed to strength to agility to conditioning and recovery. Whatever you need from an athletic scope, we cover it.
What's going on, guys? Major Williams here with the Motivation Podcast, where we talk about all things inspirational, aspirational, and motivational. As always, I'm sitting with really cool guests that are doing some amazing things out in the world and also in the community. Today is no different. I'm sitting with my brother, Curtis Bolton III, professional NFL player, entrepreneur, and today he's going to just share with us a little bit about his journey and all the things that he's been doing. Curtis, welcome to the Motivation Podcast, man.
I appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. So first, all right, let's jump right into it. I've been waiting to do this interview because, I understand the importance of evolution when it comes to sports, right? So I want to walk through a few different layers in regards to what that means for someone like you. Give us a little context and backstory on your journey. And let's kind of like start at high school and just tell me how that transition was going into college, being a professional athlete or aspiring to be a professional athlete. How was that journey for you?
High school, local kid, grew up here in Marietta, went to visit Marietta. Started 3 years, started as a sophomore, won CIF championship. Eventually started getting recruited into my junior year and, was blessed enough to have 10 plus offers. So I had my pick of my schools. Ended up narrowing it down to Oklahoma. And,
What was your position in high school?
I played defensive end. So I played D-line basically my whole life growing up. And getting on to Oklahoma, it was a different battle.
Yeah.
Different position, learning different things.
Yeah.
Trying to learn how to be a college athlete, not a high school athlete. Trying to learn how to get onto a college regimen. You show up, you get there 5:30 workouts, so you're up probably 4:45, getting a little warmed up, getting ready. 5:30 workouts. You go through your whole day, classes, meetings, practice, the whole nine. And then you got study hall at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
9 to 10, you get back to your dorm, got a little bit more homework, and then you're back up at 4:30, 4:45 again the next day. And,
See, a lot of people don't understand that regiment that comes along with it. So when you were playing in high school, as far as your coaching personnel, did they explain to you how that transition works? Because a lot of times people are married to their position. Like, this is who I am. I'm the quarterback.
Yeah.
I've been playing quarterback since Pop Warner, right? But when it comes to going to a different level, like, college or even NFL, sometimes things change. Did you have any foresight or conversations with your high school coaches and say, hey, you may not be this in college or you may not be this in the NFL? And if so, how did you process that?
Yeah. I tried Major Versity's public speaking course, so you don't have to. Let's talk about it. Spoiler alert, it's a game changer. From crafting compelling messages to mastering delivery techniques, this course transformed me into a confident speaker. If you want to captivate audiences and make an impact, Major Versity is your ticket. Don't just speak, inspire. Enroll now and unleash your voice.
Yeah, so it was different. I had a great high school coach. My high school coach, Lonnie Ford, San Diego guy, went to USC, played a little bit in Carolina, and then, retired and came back and started training and coaching in high school. Definitely a mentor of mine, a guy that I look up to, and has never steered me wrong in life. So his whole thing with it was, I don't care what position you play, just go dominate. It's
like that.
Football's 11 on 11. You got your 10 brothers out there with you. You guys have battled all year, through the heat, through the cold, through all the blood, sweat, and tears on the field, and go out there and dominate. You got 11 guys on the other side of the ball. You win your matchup, and you expect your brothers to win their matchup. And, that's how you win football games, right? So for me, it was never really like, oh, you play this position. It was more so just go dominate.
Yeah.
Wherever we put you. And luckily, I didn't really move around much when you're a pass rusher.
Right.
So the NFL, in terms of pay ranking, you got quarterbacks, left tackles, pass rushers, right?
Right.
So in high school, when you're the best pass rusher, you don't really have to do anything else. So for me, it was, go get after that quarterback. And, it was different, coming to college, moving back to linebacker, a little bit different, pass rushers are more like the receivers, like
Right.
they're the go getters, right?
Right.
Middle linebackers are more like the quarterbacks. I'm the vocal leader on the team. I set the fronts. Communicate coverage
Right.
checks. The whole nine.
You Ray Lewis that thing, man.
Yeah, you get what I mean. There's a reason why he was the greatest all time. You see him out there, turned around talking to everybody.
Yeah.
As soon as the ball snapped, he's back around finding where the ball's at and getting there as fast as he can.
Yeah. That's
It's
amazing.
Yeah.
So what have you learned from those experiences, whether it's high school, whether it's college? Because I think a lot of people always like to learn from people who have done it at a very high level. Like, is there like a sectional moment where you can remember that you learned from a shortcoming? Like, you came up short in this particular area, or you didn't accomplish something that you wanted to accomplish. Say, for instance, if, example, you wanted two top tackles or sacks this game and you didn't get it. Like, how does that mindset work, and how do you keep yourself motivated?
I think it's a battle. I had a one of my college roommates, Orlando Brown. He plays tackle in the league right now.
Nice.
Good dude, second round draft pick. Really legit guy. 6'8", 300, fills out the door frame. Something he said a lot when we were young at OU was, you got to love the hunt. Like, it's not just about, for Lions, it's not just about the kill. You got to love the hunt. If you don't love the hunt, it's not something that you can get by long term on.
I love that.
Not everything's motivation.
Yeah.
I believe in, on one end of the spectrum, you got motivation. The other end's discipline. I believe in discipline a lot more than motivation.
Yeah.
I motivate for games. I don't motivate for life. I try to stay disciplined in my life.
Right.
And for me, excuse me. For me.
Right. So give me a little rundown in regards to what's fun in life for Curtis Bolton III. Like, what do you enjoy doing? Where do you get inspiration from? Like, what kind of gives you that reset and that refuel in life?
That's a tough question. For me, it's, I like getting around my boys. We show up, watch the basketball games.
Yeah.
Play bone, spades, the whole nine. It's just I spend a lot of time away, and I've been on 9 different teams, so I'm usually in a different city every other year. So for me, when I get back, I definitely like to do that. I tried to pick up golfing. I'm terrible at it, but
same here.
The 2 times a month I can go, I'm just trying to get better, right?
Same here.
I find some peace and clarity in that. But other than that, it's just, trying to be a family man, trying to put it like this, I get tired in season. So season gets long, right? So, it's easy to come home and I got 3 hours of film left on my iPad. It's easy for me to just go up into the office and get cooped up in there. But I think that I like to remember that, my after work is my kids' childhood. So lock in. So, in season versus out of season, I don't really have much fun in season. It's really, all ball,
discipline,
cycle my
work,
week, right?
Work, absolutely.
But the blessing about it is that you work hard. You work hard all year. If you don't make the playoff, season ends in January and OTAs start mid-April. So I work out and train that whole time, but for all intents and purposes, that's my free time to do whatever I want. For me, it's good to come home, spend time with my family, get back around my mom. My brother just moved back to California, so it's for me, it's just try to get around my family as much as I can.
No, that's really cool. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. So obviously, if you look at statistics, a lot of NFL players after their playing careers, including NBA players after their playing careers, financially decline.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been because of the lack of sometimes discipline, financial structure, and just financial literacy in itself, right? There have been many stories, if you look at like lottery winners, right? They win all this money and then 5-6 years, they blew $80 million.
Yeah.
It's because they don't understand the structure of that. So first of all, they didn't get 80 million, right? Taxes ate up 30%, 50% of that, right?
Yeah.
And then every single month, their expenses go up.
Yeah.
So they have money, but the only utility or the function they know of is to spend it, not to make the money work for them. So the elephant in the room for a lot of athletes is that And knowing that you've created the place that we're in now, SoCal Game Changers, congratulations.
Appreciate that.
This is a facility that does what, and what made you create this brand as far as the entry into your entrepreneurial journey? Well, everyone, real quick, I wanted to just share the amazing work that the Motivation Podcast is doing. We're already getting so many great testimonials because of the guests that we've had on and the stories that they've shared and their actual testimonies about their success and their journey. And that journey and their successes are helping other people fulfill their missions in life. And that's super important. And that's the point and purpose of the Motivation Podcast. We talk about all things inspirational, aspirational, and motivational. And now we are expanding our reach and saying, hey, if you have a personal brand, if you have a business, if you have a service, and you would like to advertise on the Motivation Podcast, feel free to reach out to us at the motivationpodcast@gmail.com, or send me a DM or jump in the comments and we will follow back up with you. We have pre-roll, we have post-roll, we have also sponsored advertisements that are available slots for you. And this is the early bird because we're still growing, and let's grow together. So reach out to us now, get your opportunity to be seen by so many people with so many influential speakers on this podcast.
SoCal Game Changers, youth training facility. We target the youth because that's what the city needs. Me, my business partner, my brother, we've all been blessed to get scholarships and go on and play, high-level football for a long time. There's a lot of experience in the building. For me, it was coming back to the community and giving the kids an avenue to show up and learn. Mm-hmm. For me, it's not just about, I'm going to get you better at football, or I'm going to get you better at this. It's, I look at life, and in my life, there was 3 or 4 men that left an imprint on me, and to the point where I believe that if I didn't have their guidance at the time I got it, my life would be a lot different than it is today. So for me, it's just trying to come back, get as many of those guys into the building as I can, and progress towards a better future. Because I think, I'm 30. I've played in the NFL for 6 years. Yeah. I'm turning 30 this year. I'm on the back end of my career. So whatever way it cuts it, I need something to do after. Right. And I really respect the handful of, coaches that went out of their way to teach me how to be a pro, even when I wasn't ready to, and give me the grace to fail and fail and fail until I could figure it out. Because I think that everybody sees, the success. Everybody sees
the end result.
You get what I mean? Yeah. But nobody's there for the long nights. Nobody's there for the early mornings. Nobody's there for the stress. Yeah. There's a whole lot that goes into it. You understand that. Success isn't free. Yeah. And for me, it's coming back and giving the kids somebody that, look, I care about you. This is how I made it. This is how I failed. This is how I turn these failures into W's long term. Because I think for everybody, when you play sports, if you're fortunate enough to get to the NFL or professional sports of that matter, you're probably thinking about the Hall of Fame. Yeah. It's very humbling for me to know that that's probably not going to happen. But, at the end of the day, I still get to put my helmet on, still get to put my shoulder pads on and go compete. So, I have an avenue to show the kids in the community, it's possible if you just work. I was an undersized guy. I had, that defensive coordinator saying, I'll never play this guy. Yeah. And, look at me at 30. So, I think that this place is just, it's a beautiful opportunity for me to continue on in sports. And when my body gives up on me, at least I have my mind to set something like this up.
Right. So when it comes to the financial aspect of it, how has that learning curve been for you? Like, was there a learning curve? Were you pretty familiar with how to manage a dollar, or is it something you evolved into based upon the experiences, highs and lows, or people that you position to be around you to kind of guide you on that mission? Because we've heard many tragic stories where athletes have been taken advantage of, people have taken losses. That happens with entrepreneurs and music artists, right? And a lot of times it builds a lot of awareness, right? So you end up like saying to yourself, I'm happy it happened. Didn't feel good when it happened, but I'm happy it happened because it put me on my game. It made me more interested to find out how to keep more of my money versus losing it. How has that been for you specifically when it comes to that?
I think it's a humility thing. I think that a lot of guys long for what they can't afford, and I think there's a lot of lifestyle creep just in society. Period. Yeah. So For me, it was being humble enough to know that, like, yeah, these checks are nice. Like, it, you know, it feels great. We get paid weekly, so
Yeah.
I get a check every week, and it's Friday's a great day,
Right, for
right?
sure.
So for me, it's being able to put that money away. It's being able to send that back to my investment account, so that can make money while I focus on my main income stream.
Yeah.
And to the point now where when I get out of football, I have a lump sum of cash that I don't have to spend. I can leverage against it and get other things rolling. So,
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I did with the gym. I didn't have to put a crazy amount up. I went
Right.
through the SBA process, but for me, it was my parents aren't, financial people. My dad, hardcore 20 years in the Navy, he got a consistent check, and we lived the life we live, right? For me, it was learning that my rookie year, I made a lot of money, and I was trying to take care of everybody. I wasn't blowing my cash, but my brother needs this, my sister needs this, my mom needs
it's
this.
There, I got it.
I got it. You get what I mean? So everybody, everybody talks about, oh, if I make 100,000, it'll change my life. Like, the money does not change your life; the systems do. So, for me, I always thought.
Say that again. Say that one more time. That was such a great word right there.
The money doesn't change your life; the systems do. And I think that a lot of people get caught up on the yes, you should be trying to up your income. Like, that's extremely important. You have no idea what the economy will turn into. I'm sure people in the 70s had. You look at $1 million homes today, and that's like the normal.
Right.
People in the 70s were going crazy, So it's just one of those things that I think that the humility for me to get people around me that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
I understand that, I don't need to be the smartest person in the room all the time. I'm good at what I do, and I like to focus on what I do. So for me, it's getting people around me that I can trust to give me qualified advice. I wanted to pay for the building out of pocket.
Right.
My financial advisor was losing his mind. This is the SBA process. I got a person for you.
Right.
Whoop-de-whoop-de-woo. Went through the SBA process, didn't have to put a crazy amount down, a massive fraction of what, I was originally thinking I was going to put up. And got all this, amazing equipment in this amazing facility to get a lot of stuff we want to do in the community over the long term done.
So when it comes to adding value, when you're working with these young people, obviously, everyone has different personalities, everyone has different perspectives, and we have certain, as young people that are athletic and we're coming into our own, and you have all this strength and this energy. How do you manage that, or how would you manage that? Because sometimes that comes along with a little ego, right? You're number one, you're the best. Do you find yourself naturally getting respect just because of your status and what you've done? Or have you had to kind of like share like a little game with people to kind of put them in their place a little bit thus far? How has that worked out?
Luckily for me, I'm not big on ego in life. I'm not gonna say I'm the most humble dude, but I have confidence in what I've done, confidence in all I've accomplished for sure. But I'm also the type of person that I don't think anybody is quote unquote better than the next person. I just think that people are at different places in their life, and for me, it's I like flexing my wins on the field.
Yeah. So I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a kid, though. What if you had a kid and the personality, and that's their personality? Like, I know you're good in that space.
I think that you have a lot of different kids with a lot of different personalities. And what I tell kids is be yourself. Understand that there's a process to things. You have to learn what we call politicking. You have to learn how to politic.
Yeah.
So that means showing up, being able to read a room, being able to look at your superiors and understand how, something that I failed with was, the guys that were in charge of making decisions.
Yeah.
I didn't always, we didn't always have the best relationships.
Yeah.
And if I'm the type of person, if I don't like you, it's hard for me to hide that.
Right.
So
that's a skill set in itself.
Absolutely.
I've mastered it. I don't like Curtis right now, but I'm doing an interview with him.
Yeah.
But it really does come down to like just having like, being situational and having that awareness, right? And so the reason why I asked you that, Curtis, is because I heard a story about how hard it is to for Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan says he could never be a coach.
Mm.
You know, Kobe said I could never be a coach because they just had such a different intensity. And you know what it's like being on the field, and you know that there are guys out there that's probably really, really good, and you've seen the difference between the work ethic, the discipline, and also the slackers.
Yeah.
So when you're dealing with young people, because I speak all the time to groups of young people, and I take in their questions, which is the best ever, right? So when you're dealing with some of these young athletes, I was just curious to know, like, what do you notice about their temperament, and do you ever give any kind of, like, I'm sure you always give pointers, but how do you manage their expectations without shooting them down, because everyone isn't going to the NFL?
Yeah,
right.
It's tough. I think that for me, it's based on age. The younger you are, the less I feel the need to tell you this is what it is.
I like that.
I'm very honest with the high school kids, though. I think that sports is beautiful because your confidence is on display. If you watch somebody play, a basketball player, if you don't have the confidence to shoot, you're not going to go out there and score 30, correct? So same thing in football. So for me, it's, if I'm in season working with them, it's very clear cut. This is what went wrong and this is how we fix it. Then in the off season, it's like, this is the realistic path. This is what the college coaches will say about you, because that's one thing that I never got.
Those critiques, right?
Yeah, you get to, and that's another thing you were talking about earlier. Like, what's some of the differences trying to transition from high school to college? And it's your high school coaches genuinely care about you as a man. I can't speak for all the high schools, but I know for mine.
Right, mine too as well.
You know what I mean? They care about you as a man, and I'm not saying they don't in college, but college is a business,
For sure.
You know what I mean?
The dynamic is definitely different.
Yeah, you get what I mean? So I was always the guy that I spoke a little bit earlier on how, I spent a piece of my life lost and confused. I was the guy in college that for the first few years, like, I know I'm not doing the best I can, but, no one's telling me where to go right. Like, you miss class here, you sleep through a workout here. Those are some of the things that it doesn't take too many of those for you to be labeled as, he can't get it right. And so for me, I'm honest with the kids. This is what it takes to get to where you want to get to, and this is where you're currently at.
Right.
Problem being is there's a lot of kids that have been steered wrong for so many years.
Right.
That by the time I get around them, their parents have been pumped up for the last 6-7 years, and I'm trying to tell them this is how it goes. This is the different scenarios of what can play out. Sorry to tell you, that's the facts of it.
Yeah.
I'm not the all truth knower when it comes to, college, high level professional athletes.
But you're speaking from your personal experience, right?
You spend a decade in high level football, you learn a handful of things,
So we were talking off camera beforehand, and before we wrap, I want to make sure that we discuss some things like golf, right? So golf, you profess that you're not Tiger Woods yet, right?
No,
I
sir.
profess that I'm not Tiger Woods yet. Keyword yet. What got you interested in golf, and how often do you play?
The funny thing is, so my college roommate's a big golfer.
Yeah.
I didn't golf growing up. I didn't pick up a golf club until Top Golf came out. So I get into my second year. I'm coming off my ACL. So I tore my ACL my rookie year in Green Bay. My rehab took 14 months. It's a 9 to 12 month process. Mine took about 14. So unfortunately, I ended up getting cut midseason. I signed to Houston's practice squad, and coincidentally, that's where my college roommate's from. Excuse me.
It's okay.
Coincidentally, that's where my college roommate's from, and him and his dad golf every Tuesday, and Tuesday is the NFL off day. So you play Sunday, you come in, watch film and work out Monday, and then Tuesday is the off day. You come in, but it's, more get out at noon versus get out at 5 or 6.
Right.
So I picked it up with them, and then after that, it was one of those things where it's like I put it down for a bit, and then now it's like I try to do a golf tournament every year. It's more promo than anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get out there, get around people, network and whatnot. I've been playing. I probably play 20 times a year the past 3-4 years. I still don't keep score.
Same here.
I don't know. I'm at the point now where I need to just go get a coach to teach me how to drive. I got the irons down.
Yeah.
I'm cool with the irons. I'm aggressive. I'm a little too aggressive to putt, so I'm figuring out putting. But the driving, I can't figure it out.
Yeah. We're in the same boat, brother. Yeah. We're in the same boat. So this has been great, man. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I know that you're extremely busy, either here with SoCal Game Changers, training young people, still training yourself, getting yourself prepared, and just working with different groups, and just, thinking forward about your future, even beyond, football. How can people find you if they want to connect with you, whether it's Instagram, website, and how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so my personal Instagram's CB_Savage18. A little aggressive, but again, I'm a football player. Aggressive lifestyle, right?
Nice.
But again, yeah, my personal Instagram, CB_Savage18. You can reach me there. I'm getting on. I spoke a little bit with Major earlier on how I'm not a big social media guy, social media buff, but he's been leaning on me to to get right there. So I'm definitely gonna be more active on there. We also have the Instagram page, SoCal Game Changers, for the gym, where we highlight a lot of our athletes, the different trainers and the different guys that come in and out of the building. Other than that, that's pretty much where you can find me.
Hey guys, listen, as always, another great conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed this conversation. Continue to follow us, continue to like, and continue to subscribe. In this comment section, you'll see the description with Curtis information. So his Instagram will be there. SoCal Game Changers will be there as well. So you can follow him. You can ask him any questions that you would like. If you're looking for any kind of training, you can always reach out to him through SoCal Game Changers, and they'll make sure to take care of you. Just tell them that Major sent you. And they'll take care of you. Look, Curtis, thank you so much again for your time, man, and welcome to the Majoration podcast. And I hope we can do this again.
Man, grateful to be on.
My brother.
We can. Right on, brother.